It's gone live before I'm ready. Hello. 1 second. A.W C. Look at this. Been up since 9:30. Early morning, Dave. Happy New Year. Happy 2020. Bosh. What do we need? Me, you, and this. So you've got myself here for the next hour or so. We have 40 something pages I've gone through and printed off. We're working on this some time. I am looking at communicating with higher levels of government. I'll read through and explain what's happening, where we are. This is a Phoenix Down E11 splspro.com assisted interactive educational presentation. I'm going to get straight into it because it's going to be a while, and I don't expect many of you to be online or to be popping in to come and say hello. So what we'll do, without further ado, is get cracking on with this. Wish you a happy New Year. Thank you for your continued support and trust. And my way of saying thank you is to prioritise giving you this information above Facebook and YouTube. You may copy this, you may make notes. I'm sure you will, I expect you to. And I would like to get your thoughts and feelings on this. I will make sure to prioritise my duties. If you saw the cast with Claudio, myself, who else was there? Claudio, myself, Trinity 4, David. Claudio was me to you, you to me, something like that. David was Trinity 4, G-Man, Indigo. David was on the cast, and that was incredible. Thank you very much for all that was there for the premiere and what went down. Ooh, incredible. I'm very blessed to have been on that chat. Without further ado, let's set the mood, the feeling. Let us begin January with a smile in our hearts and let the sun shine. Let the sun shine, let the sun shine. This document is free to share. For the avoidances of doubt and for the reasons of clarity, the language used in this document is British, be able, from Britain. There is Bouvier's and Black's law and stuff quoted in there, but aside from that, what I'm speaking is as I said there. This document may be considered as lawful argumentation to the presumptions and assumptions of the legal realms from and on behalf of the Secretary of State for Transport. We are now in 2020, ready to communicate with higher levels of UK government. There is no legal and any advice herein. This is simply Woman's own research and discoveries over the last 15 years. And that's a disclaimer out the way. We're going to look at driver first, see what drivers entail, what go on with them. As you will look in the various dictionaries you have, there's one employed in conducting a coach, carriage, wagon or other vehicle with horses, mules or other animals. What is the definition of a vehicle? The word vehicle includes every description of carriage or other artificial contrivance used or capable of being used as a means of transportation on Lord, L-A-U-D, meaning L-O-R-D, and Laudare, L-A-U-D-A-R-E, Latin, in civil law, to name, to cite or quote, to show one's title or authority. Calvin, translation. The word vehicle includes every description of carriage or other artificial contrivances used or capable of being used as a means of transport on one's authority or title. Every description of carriage, letter, special purpose vehicle, telecommunication, uniform, corporation, person, prosecutor, etc. A bill cannot be, by the general practice, be referred for impertinence after the defendant has answered or submitted to answer, but it may be referenced for scandal at any time. And even upon the application of a stranger to the suit, for he has the right to prevent the records of the court from being made the vehicle of spreading slander against himself. I've got some references here in the document. I won't read all that out now, but it's there. There's got lots of dictionary and references that I've used are in here for you to click on and look at. We've got a maxim here, an established principle or proposition, a principle of law universally admitted as being just and consonant with reason. Maxims in law are somewhat like axioms in geometry. They are principles and authorities and part of the general customs or common law of the land, and are of the same strengths as acts of parliament. When the judges have determined what is a maxim, which belongs to the judges and not the jury. Maxims of the law are holden for law, and all other cases that may be applied to them shall be taken for granted. The application of the maxim to the case before the court is generally the only difficulty. The true method of making this application is to ascertain how the maxim arose and to consider whether the case to which it is applied is of the same character or whether it is an exception to an apparently general rule. That's from the 1856 edition of Bouvier's. What happens in court across the realm world is how they try to apply legal statute to man. A statute is merchandise code law. Statute is merchandise code, penal, secular. It was the merchant's code and still is today. It was adopted by shipping because the shipping had to adhere to the merchant's request to protect the cargo. Then Admiralty and maritime law takes it on, and then they develop something called insurance. Insurance contracts and maritime law. It is outlined in the Delovio versus Boit 1815, and then they started to commence in maritime law onto our shores and the land. And I've got a reference here of Delovio versus Boit case brief summary here, where you've got the liable suit in district court, subject matter jurisdiction is all in there. There is a lot here of references. Secondary page, I'm not going to go through all of that. You can get that when you get the document, or on the third page, and then the fourth page with the link. According to scriptures, they cannot do this, as it's maritime law. Woman's or man asks, what happens if you don't have vehicles, cars, property with all this insurance? Well, we have an IMF issued insurance number. We are not commercially active as man, woman, under the creator and divine laws. If we were to take insurance away, how would travellers adopt their travelling habits? Travellers would adapt the way they operate. A £30,000, £50,000 property, horse, car, automobile, and that they know nothing is going to repair or replace it, except the money in their pockets, credits. I use money loosely. I've told you what language I'm speaking. And you know, they won't be buying a £30,000 car as they cannot afford to fix it. This happens a lot in Europe, as I've seen. I'm taking this from quite a few sources and what I've seen myself. Man can't afford most kind of what to spend. You know, we can't afford, you know, to spend 30 grand, 5 grand, 3 grand out of the pocket to fix something, you know, to get on the road within 2 weeks. Everything they are doing is based on hypothetical. You could do this on a hypothetical basis. This could happen. No, it won't. It never does. They say this might, this could. Hello to the viewer, the scribe, Bosh. Happy 2020. Welcome to the VIP presentation of special purpose vehicles, travellers and contrivances. Get ready. Everything they're doing is based on a hypothetical basis. You could do this, this could happen, no it won't, it never does, it shall, it may, future possible harm. The police infer you could do this or that. That would be hypothetical, it hasn't happened yet. We take only calculated risks rather than pushing the limits, as we know the insurance will cover it. British law is superior higher than English law as of 1066. English came in 1066. I've got a history line here from the Battle of Hastings. In English, you cannot operate on assumptions and presumptions. So on the officer or the trooper says this could happen or that may happen, that's an assumption, a presumption, and it can't happen. So here we have this Bouvier's law, 1852, 1862 law reference. A driver, one employed in conducting a coach, carriage, wagon or other vehicle with horses, mules or other animals. We find that a driver is one whom is employed. Cattle are driven. What? Go back to the Bible and check. Cattle, not chattel. The one controlling the cattle is the driver, one employed in conducting a coach, carriage, wagon or other vehicle. So now we have covered the fact that a driver is somebody, something, someone being employed, ploy of Troy. Carriage, wagon or other vehicle with horses, vehicles or other animals. I'm going to try and explain to you that your car, automobile, property, lorry, van, auto wagon is not a vehicle, okay? No, it isn't. And it's all based on legal, church and state deception. Driver, one employed in conducting coach, carriage, wagon. 1852, 1868 Bouvier's law, which is American law, okay? It's American law, that's also Crown copyright. So it's supplied wherever the Crown will be occupying, residing territories internationally. It's also international law. So all the words, definitions must line up. We also cover trust law. It also covers trust law. All these definitions are based on trust law. Woman is now killed legally via certification registration in the form of papacy, proclamations, etc. So we're not killed, but legally you are no longer in a status of man because we've gone through the registration. We are man, we are in the realm under Creator, alive and kicking. But in the land of the United Kingdom and legal contractual, we are no longer considered, This doesn't apply to the king and queens of such lands, not just here, all lands with the monarchy and, kings and queens, including other vehicles with horses, mules, or other modes of power. So now let us look at the legal definition of a vehicle. Black's Law 1 to 4 editions, due to the time of the year vehicles were invented, so that would be around 1910. So use the same year for the related respective law definitions. The legal definition of driving. I did not realise this until I heard Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition being cited. 4th, that was published in 1951. Using a version of legal definitions archaic enough that the T volume contains a definition for Tory, the 9th edition, 2009, does not. It goes from torture, flight, to total, missing out Tory. This is where sovereign citizens, yes, oxymoron, pardon that's my oxymoron statement, they're getting their ideas from. Here's what the text says. The text says, 4th edition driver, one employed in conducting or operating a coach, carriage, wagon or other vehicle with horses, mules or other animals, or a bicycle, tricycle or motor car, though not a street railroad car. A person acting as a driver, driving whether employed by owner to drive or driving his own vehicle, travelling then privately, I would say rather than driving your own vehicle. Employed, This signifies both the act of doing a thing and being under contract or orders to do it. To give employment, to have employment. 1951 law doesn't quite agree. Let's see what an edition that was published more recently says, the 9th edition from 2009. Driver, a person who steers and propels a vehicle. A person who herds animals, a drover. The definition of driver has now changed significantly. Now it describes anyone who operates a vehicle. So I've put they are wrong, and even 1951 law says they are wrong. The 10th edition is pretty similar to the 9th, which is out now, which says driver, someone who steers and propels a vehicle, someone who herds animals, a drover, a piece of software that allows a computer to work with another piece of hardware, such as a mouse or printer. Driving, the act of directing the course of something, such as an automobile or herd of animals. Individual, no definition as a noun, only an adjective. Operate, operating, no definition. Person, a human being, also termed as natural person. Traveller, someone who passes from place to place for any reason. Vehicle, an instrument of transportation or conveyance. Any conveyance used in transporting passengers or things by land, water or air. Very cleverly written, exclamation marks remove the marked word from the page. You've got the 4-corner rule here. Anything that is box highlighted in bold lettering under English grammatical rules of law is not on the page or the leaf. Under the English grammatical rules of law, these words are no longer on the pages. Driver, one employed, Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856. Driver, one employed in conducting a coach, carriage, wagon, or other vehicle. Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1914, page 940. Driver, one employed in conducting or operating a coach, carriage, wagon, or other vehicle with horses, mules, or other animals, or a bicycle, tricycle, a motor car, though not a street, railroad car. C. Davis versus Petronovich, 112, and we've got some references there. Isaacs versus Railroad Co. Black's Law Dictionary, 3rd edition. Driver, one employed. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, 1951. Oh, that top bit was from Black's Law Dictionary, 3rd edition, and then we've got driver, one employed, from Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, 1951. The actively licensed by state and in connection with individuals must submit personal information to the agents at the various driving offices there for the Secretary of State for Transport, so the DVLA and the DMV for across the pond. The operation of motor vehicles is itself integrally related to interstate commerce. Seth Waxman, Solicitor General, U.S. Department of Justice, brief for the petitioners, Reno versus Condon, number 98, 1464, decided January the 12th, 2000 in the Supreme Court of the United States. Title 18, Uniform States Code, Section 31, Part 1, Crimes, and Chapter 2, Aircraft and Motor Vehicles, Section 31, Definitions. When used in this chapter, the term motor vehicle means every description of carriage or other contrivance propelled or drawn by mechanical power and used for commercial purposes on the highways in the transportation of passengers and property, or property and cargo. Motor vehicle laws of Florida. I'm not going to go through all of that. And then we've got traffic from Webster's Unified Dictionary and Encyclopedias, International Illustrated Edition, 1960. Traffic, Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856. We've got Traffic, Black's Law Dictionary, 3rd edition. Traffic, Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Traffic, Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition. Transportation, Webster's Unified Dictionary and Encyclopedia. Transportation, Black's Law Dictionary, 3rd. Transportation, Black's Law Dictionary, 4th. Transportation, Black, 6th. transportation words and phrases, references. And I've got something about easements for you when we go on to implied rights of access, private property, things like this. I was looking at this area. So see easements also for removal of implied rights of access to property, agents travelling on the highway, then onto the footpath, sidewalk, then onto the drive path, and then up to your front door. We have cement, C that is meant as the road, mind sea, cement meant for the sea, mind sea, meant is mine. It's a road, pavement, and then easement. Okay, listen to those words and how they end. Easement, and this is from the law.com, Law Dictionary and Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition. And then we've got Law Dictionary, alternative legal definitions. We've got land ownership and so forth there. It's just got a massive page and lots of references and citations. Too many to mention, all right? So we'll just, you can get the document uploaded later today, and then you'll have a look at it yourself. And we've got Home Law Dictionary, prescriptive easement, prescriptive easement, prescriptive easements, the law.com dictionary and Black's Law definition, 2nd edition. Easement by prescription, drip, negative easement, easement, implied easements, notorious, jus, J-U-S, C-L-O-A-C-A-E, cloaca, ACA, easement again, and those are the links from the law.com dictionary, .law.thelaw.com. Right, we know they're talking about vehicle. The word includes every description of carriage or other artificial contrivance capable of being used as a means of transportation of Lord, L-A-U-D. Praise, glory, Lord, the Redeemer. That's what I find when I look up that word. Spend some time looking up L-O-R-D and L-A-U-D. What they do not tell you is there is a Redeemer, aka King, is a title. So what they don't tell you is the Redeemer, aka King, is a title. Lord is praise, and Latin is Lord Air, Lord R. Lord R, Lord Air. You got Italian, Latin, Spanish. I've got some references here borrowed from the Latin Lord Air, whence also Italian Lord Air, and inherited double E. You got verb, anagrams of it. Latin, pronunciation, conjunction of laudo, present active. There's lots here for you, lots of references and verbs and what you need to know. A verb from form of Lord R, verb from form of Lord R, yeah. Entries with Lord Air. And we've got the references from that word sense and Law Dictionary, the law.com and Law Dictionary and Black's edition 2nd, and we've got related legal terms and definitions there. More links to praise, prove, external name, delivery, allergy, recommended praise. That is what it means in Latin. What does it mean in civil law? Lord in civil law, to name as the title, to cite or quote, to show one's title or authority. Just remember one's title or authority. You can get back to the legal world here, and I've put a dictionary.com organ vehicle reference. What is vehicle? See who that is. Might be important. Brother Kev. What is vehicle? The word vehicle includes every description of carriage or artificial contrivance used or capable of being used as a means of transportation on Lord, one's title. The word includes every description of carriage, a license, a piece of paper, an artificial contrivance on a phone, capably used as means of transportation on one's title or authority. This is where it gets interesting now. Sit up and pay attention if you wouldn't mind. It is a means of transportation on one's title or authority. What that tells us is that the chassis number and the license plate number are the vehicle, and the number plate is attached to the car. So a person, a prosecutor, a corporation, a car are all vehicles, as they show one's authority and one's title. They were issued illegally because they don't have certificates of proclamation to allow them to turn into vehicles. To show one's title and or authority, the word includes every description of carriage or artificial contrivance capable of being used as a means of transporting one's title. So what is a title? United Kingdom government is a title. Driver is a title. Your license is classed legally in trust as a vehicle. Not your license, but the driver's license and what you hold in due course there. A passport, driving license. This is a vehicle. This paper is a vehicle for the message and words. It has the authority and the license. The vehicle is not so much a car or automobile, okay? And it's not a lorry either. It's not anything mechanical. The vehicle is the identification numbers on said property. Do you know what a special purpose vehicle is? I think you do on here on splspro.com. We've mentioned this before. Stephen of the McRae and yes, the Binch has mentioned this before. Lots of trust talks have mentioned SPVs in the financial arena when they're talking about vehicles of money. To do with mortgages and certificates and stuff, okay, and stock markets. It is or can be a folder or an envelope where they put, say, 20 mortgages or certificates of sorts inside them, financial instruments, equitable, instruments. I've showed you what a special purpose vehicle is. In a special purpose vehicle is an envelope folder that they put the mortgages or certificates inside it. So the values of, say, £4 million, and they insure for £1 million, £4 million, depends, say, £1 million, they insure it for £1 million, then they float it on the international stock markets, and later a fool comes and buys it as a trading bond. What the financial banking system and Londinium Crown do is, I've even recycled from the previous to the text on that, recycling the paper, refilling the ink, but I can't read this off the screen. I need it to hand to get it done properly. I've spent the last 24 hours working on this. They create these special purpose vehicles. The trust handles the special purpose vehicle and they trade these. In paraphrasing, this isn't exhaustive, this is just to get you into the mood. Now that you know what a special purpose vehicle is, the word vehicle includes, God Lord, any description of carriage. You're carrying an envelope with a manufacturer's certificate origin. Birth certificates are an artificial contrivance and are capable of being used as means of transportation on one's title or authority. Our parents created a birth certificate that cast us into debt and legal bonded slavery. Legal, I say, all right, not lawful. To show one's title or authority, so special purpose vehicle resides in finance, and this is all finance, this is all maritime, all right, law, it's the merchant's office. You're transporting an artificial description, so the description is artificial transport. It is telling you, they ignore the word includes every description, artificial transportation title. The word vehicle includes every description of carriage or the artificial contrivance capable of being used as means of transportation on one's title. Vehicle is anything that has or contains numbers on it. All right, wow. Newsflash, where did you hear that before? Not many places, I'll tell you now. I'm giving it to you first thing in the year before anyone else, because I love you and to say thank you. They are secretly trading these on the stock exchanges, or the SXSs, the UK SX, USA SX, Australia, Canada SX is the UK stock exchange. They're not SE for stock exchange, they're SXs. And ASX is the anagram, I would say, of Satan, S8N. And you have ASX. So ASX, alpha, so you take these three letters, ASX, and you can have SAX. S equals S, A equals A, and X equals 10. So if you get an SA and a 10, what do you get? SA10, Satan. You see the Satan, SAYTEN, SATAN, Red Santa. And XS is Roman numerals as well. What is assure? SHORE or SURE? The Law Dictionary, I was going to roll up then and press like that to do wow. The Law Dictionary, featuring Black's Law Dictionary, free online legal dictionary, 2nd edition. And I've got what is sure, land on the margin of the sea. You can read that in the document because it goes on for quite a bit. Source is there for you to go and check and link once you get the document in the PDF. And in that reference above, it mentions Lord again. A vehicle is anything that is used to transport. Includes every description artificial transportation of title. What the state are doing is they have put their marks on our property and they trade it and say that's how it's identified. It's all based on non-disclosed agreements and deceptions via instruments of mass distraction, aka fraud, and it's based on insurance contracts. Man is being insured. That would be bonded slavery. If you claim your titles and property, we can break free of the bondage chains. Warning, do not attempt communication with higher levels of government and offices of the state until you've got up to my level of knowledge or greater, and I am no expert here. Only sharing my findings with self-governing sovereign initiates of self and law. Bosh. If when the state officers troopers try and pull you over, you have got to know scripture. You have to know the secular penal codes, statutes, and you're going to have to know and king, queen stand the meaning of any and all words, context, implied meaning and definitions. So they say to you the vehicle, letter V is a capitalization of the letter U. Your energy harnessed intent return of the ship is any. V is a capital of U. You can read that a couple of ways, but essentially it's our energy being usurped and harnessed and our equity being stolen by these ungodly, deceptive thieves. They're using fraud in fiction, and no matter how much you search the statutes, you won't find any truth. Lord, L-O-R-D, and L-A-U-D in civil law, to name or to cite, to quote or to show one's authority. What? Driver, one employed in conducting a coach, carriage or wagon. So you have to consider to cancel your driver's license. Consider, I said, okay, there's no liability here, it's just a private chat and my notes. You may also want to or wish to cancel a vehicle registration. You've got to try and obtain, I'd say, 3 good women as witnesses, say over 42 years, I think, to make a testamentary witness statement, an affidavit, that they have attested to and witnessed you, purchase this property, cab, chassis or van, whatever it is, and yours is outright. You have the title to the property, bill of sale and the title deed for the property, land, etc. You remove all the decals, badge, identifying markers, and you put your own marker on there. I've said before an insignia, but sig, insignia, sidual, insidual, not an insignia, but something similar to that, or like comparable. You're going to have witnesses and file, not submit all the requested documents. Consider to never to submit and use their forms. Do not stray from the subject matter. And Bouvier's, Matter scandalous. Now listen up, this is golden for Fly on the Wall and others that have asked me certain questions about their friends and family in court, magistrates, high court, districts and so forth. I've never said these words before. I've never brought them to you. There's a time and a place. The time is now and place is here. Bouvier's matter scandalous. This is an equity pleading. A false and malicious statement of facts, not relevant to the case, but nothing which is positively relevant, however harsh or gross this charge may be, can be considered scandalous. And I've got Bouvier's reference there. A bill cannot, by the general practice, be referred for impertinence after the defendant has answered or submitted to answer. That's very key and important. But it may be referred for scandal at any time, so it's not all over, and even upon the application of a stranger or friend to the court. I'd say a stranger, though, is better. A friend to the court implies that you are with them and, you know, have their interests at heart, doesn't it? So the application of a stranger to the suit, for they have the right to prevent the records of the court from being made the vehicle of spreading slander against himself. And I've got a reference there as well for the Bouviers and where that's from. Matter scandalous. Bosh! All right, to describe that's on. How are you feeling? Are you loving this? Are you a watcher? Are you a leech, or are you one of us? And are you loving it? Let me know, or continue to watch. It's up to you. The choice is yours. And I've got a link here for law notes, Bouvier, HTM, scandal, a scandalous verbal report or rumour respecting some person. The remedy is an action on the case. In chancery practice, when a bill or other pleading contains scandal, it will be referred to a master to be expunged. Yes, it will. Until this has been done, the opposite party need not answer. Nothing is considered scandalous which is positively relevant to the cause, however harsh and gross this charge may be. The degree of relevancy is not deemed material. I've got some references here. Scandaleum or scandalum magnatum. So we go in Latin now for this. Great scandal or slander. In England, it is the slander of the great men, the nobility of the realm. And I've got a link here for constitutional Bouvier, HTM, where I've got this from. Matter scandalous. A bill cannot be by the general practice be referred for impertinent. I'll read that out, and that's just a repetition to make sure I've got it over to you, and you read it twice. The more you read it, the quicker it sinks in. Are you now with I? The legal definition of vehicle, in my opinion and findings and discovery and research, means to spread, to carry. Okay, a vehicle is a spreader, a carrier. This carries, it spreads. These are our documents, publications. Vehicle, s.p.v. Boom! Happy 2020. Ah, who's the daddy-o? It's the daddy-o. It's the daddy-o. Boom, boom, boom. And so I need a studio and some music now. Some effects and lightnings and green screen here. Dancing Teddy and legal definition of a vehicle. The legal definition of vehicle means to spread, to carry. Okay, stay with me, initiates. It's nothing to do with your property, mode of transportation, automobile, or pleasure craft, car, van, or lorry truck. What? Yes, we, up to this point, have been unwittingly made the vehicle of spreading slander against ourselves. What? No, I won't have that. You're not to just consider, hear me out. But halfway through. And furthermore, we have, I'm not going to get them all out, but we have dictionaries and things, and this one is only a pocket size, but sometimes that's all you will need. Alright, I have many of these books, and it's not just all internet based. I have a library here, and it's building up nicely, and I am not just using the internet, alright, I'm using hard copies for various reasons. Can't wait to get the feedback on this. This video and cast, even though it's unlisted, is proving as a copyright for this. So if anybody wants to take this and claim this date, this video will be used as referencing for my work, outlay, studies, and you know, going on. You can use it, you can take it, If anybody tries to profit from it, like Facebook do, and the agents and shills and trills on there, or to take it and convert it and pass it off as my work, but make errors in it, that's what's going off as well. Taking our stuff, rewriting it, putting indefinite, fraudulent, incorrect information and saying, look what Dave's done. Well, we are aware and we are watching, all right? I'm not saying that's to you in here. I'm just saying in general, all right? All around. We prove I have copyrights to common law copyrights and so forth, intellectual property and common law intellectual property trademark rights are going on. So if anybody tries to insinuate and make or profit or whatever, such as the various groups, and look at Michael Obenisia profile and such other things that are going off, it's disgusting. So £50 for a sovereign declaration from Facebook, no chance. 50 quid, all this money being asked for and there's no money. And so there we go, just let me put that out there. Right, we're pioneering and we're doing well. Others are trying to emulate, copy and steal. We are aware and there are measures in place. We, up to this point, when they say it's a vehicle, it's carrying their numbers, so they've insured it. That's the real vehicle, I would say. They can't link paperwork to a computer. You can't link it to the ground. They've got to fasten what we see as a constructive trust to our consciousness. Indentured slaves, indentured trusts, etc. Attach an idea, a contract. Trust is contract law. Jus, J-U-S, is to bind. It's a gravy. For he, we, I, thou, thee has a right to prevent records of a court from being made the vehicle of spreading slander. All right, so subjugation, subrogation. Now you've got something new and fresh from me to you. There's a metaphysical sense here, and I would say we're going into science and quantum realms and everything is linked. It really is. There's a metaphysical sense, the records of the court from being made the vehicle. This reinforces the fact, for he has the right to prevent the records, or they, Woman, has the right to prevent the records of the court from being made the vehicle of spreading slander against thou or thee. So for counterclaims and things like that, this is something very much relevant and articulate that I can give you to source and reference and put in with your paperwork when you send in an officer to the court in the form of your paperwork preceding you for such claims made upon your legal person. Yeah. Therefore, most legal paperwork is considered a vehicle. Therefore, a newspaper is a vehicle. Radio, this video, it's transporting information. My voice and phonetical output are a vehicle for my messages. Also, pardon me, wow. When they stamp their numbers on the VIN and issued the license plate, then we have a registered event. You turned it into a vehicle that transports their numbers, their authority. That's printed over. Look, I've got a print when I've recycled, it's gone wrong, so just bear with me while I try to sort this out. Practice Guide 52, easements, something by prescriptions, scribed by prescription. Well, this is important as well. How prescriptive easements may be acquired. Prescription is the acquisition through the long use or enjoyment, something the law presumes that the right was lawfully granted. There are three methods of acquiring an easement by prescription at common law. By lost modern grant under the Prescription Act 1832, whichever method is relied on, the user must be for at least 20 years and the points set out below apply. One, I've got here, 1.1, user as of right. The use must be without force, without secrecy, and without permission. And I've got some Latin there that I'm not going to read. Use while the same person is in possession of the benefiting and the burdened land cannot be used as of right. We've got lots here. I'm not going to go through. There's absolutely loads. All right, so I'm going to choose to skim that for you. You'll get the document later today as a present to you, all right? Once I've copyrighted it and benchmarked it like this, then it will go out for general release on splspro.com. Vehicle, cotton, t-shirt, vehicle for the message. I'll tell you what that is at the end. I'm going to re-encapsulate this later. Easements arising by common law prescription or the doctrine of lost modern grant will be legal interest. The purchaser of unregistered burden land is bound by legal interest. I've done a lot of documents about land and types of land and land registry and so forth. The trusts and secret trusts, we are getting on this. This is going to go with your officer-agent interaction, and perhaps it will be up on the second tierage of the Masters Guild, the DeLorean Masters Guild. Wow, if you've seen the Disney DeLorean, they have a guild in that. I need one of those DeLorean armors. Mando, I think he's called, with the wow. Sorry. Following first registration of the burden land, most legal easements are overriding interest, section 29 and schedule 3 of the Land Registration Act 2002, and so capable of binding successive registered proprietors of the burden land. 2002, that's quite recent. And we've got more about prescriptive easements, and we've got lots there. I'm going to just skim that. You get where I'm coming from. Just loads. Claimants. Alright, we'll miss that one as well. I've got 42 pages here. I'm over halfway. Copy to file. Wow, loads. Still into the references, prescriptive easements, land registration, claims, quality as well. Again, still got a lot here for you, a lot of substance over the form, all right? Not just free man, hippie. We're not free men at all. We're not, never been free, not at all. Don't use that word, oxymorons. Freemasons, well. Still on easements. Dictionary, thesaurus, financial encyclopedias, there's loads here for you. Here we go, I recognise where we are. I know this document well. Easements explains the road and access rights such as officers or across the pond, troopers, Canada, Australia, etc. of the Imperial Legal Roman Forces, as I've mentioned, Mandalorian and Disney and the Man of Law I Am. It explains the road and access rights such as officers, troopers, agents of the Imperial Legal Roman Forces. There are public roads such as turnpikes, railways, which are constructed by public authority or by corporations, such as your railway, yes? They're a corporation, aren't they? Network Rail, etc. Privatised, Margaret Thatcher, United Kingdom, late 80s. These are kept in good order by the respective companies to which they belong. So the same corporation own, which technically that's the state, normally UKG, USG, AG, BCC, G, British Commonwealth of Columbia government, and persons, drivers travelling on them with animals and vehicles are required to pay a toll. In general, these companies have only a right of passage over the land, which remains the property subject to the easements of the owner at the time the road was made, or of his heirs or assigns. So when we go for trespass, private property, removal of implied rights of access, pavements and easements need to be looked at now for you. This is supplementary for you. It's extra, but like I say, we give you a curve and we don't outlay it all at once. I have documents and structures and notes and 15 years worth of research to recollate, check and bring up to date for you and then re-release. Every road is an easement, I would say. We can mention, except the private ones as I've put above there, we can mention to the officers and agents when we are talking about trespass via easement. We're not saying we own properties necessarily. You can be renting as well, and you can be the occupier of a property. The occupier is the term that the courts use, say a Supreme Court or a High Court. That is a military terminology though, occupation, okay, resident, occupier, dweller, certain other British, Anglo-English that you could use, Anglo-Saxon. I'm the son, I am the heir. You know, if you were staying at the property of relatives, or if you was, in a family home which was bought, paid for, or even mortgaged. And while staying there in that property, you would be considered the occupier and you would be lawfully there. And when you say to the agent officer, they're on your easements, and the easement is where you buy the property and you would own it, say to the middle of possibly the road. So each house owns the easements up to the middle white line of the roads there. When man crosses the road or comes on the road on the easement, you know, owns a property, they own it to the middle of the road, and you have the quiet enjoyment of that road. You enjoy quiet enjoyment of that road, and as soon as someone is on that easement and they do not live, reside, occupy, etc. at said property at given location, address, they are visitors. Ergo, they only have the implied right of passage over the land and property. What? Yes, that's how we see it. That's how it's written. Then they are to be considered as breaching the peace and common law. Regarding the highways, road, the agent officers' companies only have the right of passage. They can't stop and loiter, and they can't threaten you. So I see it. This is not legal advice, not lawful advice. This is just a chat and my research. But they can't walk onto your property. The agents can't come on your property in reality. What they are doing is they are saying the easement is a right of passage. The driveway is connected to the road, which is an easement, and then the driveway is connected by a path to your front door. As we have previously said, consider displaying a notice under the doctrine of notices out on the front, saying your right of implied access on the property easement is denied. Display on gates, again across your driveway and door. Once the notice is up, they have been deemed to have been served. Let's take a look at languages a moment. So then I've put in what is the original language of the Old Testament, and then we've got 1 page, 2 page. We can put some pictures in for you, a bit of script and all right. Absolutely loads for you and referenced. And then we've got the language of the New Testament here, just coming on now, language of New Testament, and that's quite needs editing a little bit, but I've just left it as it is in raw. That's another page. All right. So that's, I'm going to skip that because it's massive. You can look at that at your leisure. That will be, enough for you. Roads in continuation of the easement and the footpath is a continuation up to the door. You can consider displaying notices to all visitors and for public admittances. The implied right of access is denied. The easement stops at the road. Trespass, private property. Visitors seen strictly by appointment only, or admittance by appointment, strictly by appointment. Visitors, admittance, strictly by appointment only. And you give contact for that, invite them to write to you an email or an unregistered pay and go mobile number, something that you don't mind using for public access communications. The easement of the property goes into the road. If you are here to enforce statute to cause harm, to harass, then you're creating and you're torturing me, which is under tort law, torture, torturous, tort law. It's an injury. Which is the word tort means harm. Everyone, look at injury, what I've posted as well, though, on the .com from the KJV and other stuff that I've done over Crimbo for you. Everyone has the right of passage over the land, a right of passage over the land. If someone owns the road, they can charge a toll. These corporations don't own the land, man does. They turned around and said, we're losing money on the roads. Well, the roads were never meant to make a profit or money. So they sell them off, and now we have taxed highways, the Dartford Tunnel, the M6 Express, etc. We paid for and built these roads via taxes. No? There is no vehicle in the definition of Bouvier's law. It is referenced, used as a vehicle, but I can't find a definition. If you can find one, I'd like it, please. Bouvier's. Vehicle means carriage in distribution. Carriage in distribution. It's not a mechanical car, van, lorry. And then we have in London the Hackney carriage, black cab drivers, don't we? Yes? And Hackney carriages in all other cities, but they originated from Londinium. It is not a mechanical means, the transportation of the title in effect, yes? It uses the word lord, which means authority or title. The court can look to suppress the case, to not let their court records be a vehicle to cause harm to the man's character. Defamation of character, slander, libelous, assumption, presumption, unconfirmed claims. Vehicle includes description, carriage, artificial contrivance, and so transportation on lord. Wow. They reference on lord to make it difficult for you, on one's authority or title. It's the transportation of thought. The transportation of paperwork is the transportation of one's property. It's a metaphysical property. That where we say intellectual property, intellectual common law, copyright, trademark rights, and so forth. In every description, the word vehicle is used, and for most of the descriptions are used for metaphysical, for incorporeal. Corporeal is real, and incorporeal is not real. It's a title. So corporal, corporal, is real, and in space corporal is not real. It's a title. An inclusion of one is an exclusion of the other. A car can't be a vehicle. It can't be. You can't be two things at once. It cannot be corporeal and incorporeal. What? No, it cannot. Inclusion of one is exclusion of another. It's not a vehicle. It is a car. It is called an auto, wagon, private property. Such things as. It's not a vehicle at all. What they do is they say it has authority for one's title on there. The reason why they brought the license plate in is so when the car got stolen, we could identify and find it quickly. But the car already had a unique referencing number on it, stamped on the chassis as the VIN number. All they had to do was pop up on it and find 111 and say, ABC 111, this is the one, we go and crack on. So we decided to let and allow registered numbers on the outside in the form of number plates. What the magistrates do is they get their mates, the officers and troopers, which are effectively the Freemasons, the gang, the law society, to get some friends in the society to go and steal cars, which we class as property. This is under a false flag, so they can bring in some statutes to tax us with, because the statute is nothing more than an unlawful tax in my mind. A statute is nothing more than merchandise, penal, secular, Roman, codes. And failure to perform means we can tax you. Failure to perform means we can tax you if, we got an officer, we are willing to comply with all of your orders. Please now be aware of the Bills of Exchange Act. Just let them know and inform them and record yourself saying that so they know they're aware, and explain the Bills of Exchange and orders. And then consider sending them a bill if they choose to proceed. So if they charge you, say, £300, then consider charging some more, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 for stress and bonded slavery. You have now got to go and slave in servitude to another to generate money to pay the officer and magistrate to pay at the force of the barrel of a legal gun, I would say. Everything you're schooled with, everything that is shown is just a variation or just another form of lies, deception, non-disclosure. The vehicle, my voice, is the vehicle to carry my message. I've said this before many times. Mediums, I've called it before. The numbers, the license plate, the chassis number on the car, lorry, automobile, pleasure craft, are the message attached to the vehicle. They have ensured that message, and when the auditor, that's the officer, he's basically an auditor, there's no victim, no crime here, trooper reads that message, he says, I believe that is registered as our property. We control this as we have this registered in our systems. He's a corporate auditor. There's no victims and no crimes, you know. What transpires is, unless you have, you know, harmed somebody, physically harmed somebody, then that would revert back to common law. And even then, they use, in fiction, they're using a corporate entity, Mr., surname and date of birth, taking from fingerprints, from marks, finger marks, and processing man, but using fictional, yeah, you get me. Our property carries the vehicle plate on it. It carries the information on there. A woe man running down the road with splspro.com written on there is now considered proprietary. The woman is a vehicle. It is based on fiction. It is metaphysics, not real. No consent means no. Then I've got my disclaimers. And we're at the end. 1 hour. Boom. That wasn't bad. I don't think. Not for me anyway. As you cover, it's not printed too well. I'll get that. Now it's been put out there on an unlisted link. I'll be interested to see how many views this gets, because it's only put on here. It's not for YouTube. It is made for assets, sons and daughters. You may choose to share this with your family if you're a member on this domain, a family initiate, private self-governing sovereign initiate of self and law. You may take this video and play it to your loved ones and family. Please do not share the link externally. There is no authorization from me, the owner of the intellectual property and the author, for you to share this on Facebook or to copy and download it and put it on your own channel. I will be looking at, you know, issues with. I'm going to release it when I am ready. It comes on the .com first. It doesn't go on YouTube. It doesn't go on Facebook. It sits here for an allotted time. I'd like you to give me your feedback and comments on that. To everybody that's been donating in the form of extra donations for you know, the maintenance and support of this site, works, seminars, meetings, etc. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to collate a few files such as this, and I'm going to give the ones that have gone above extra a few copies of these, and there'll be some non-disclosure in there for the time being until they go public. This is how it's going to work now. So there's a lot changing this year. I've got a true Christmas story to bring out to you, the real Christmas in my mind, which is, I think, 160 pages. That was done in 48 hours, not from scratch, but collated and compromised, and a comprehensive summary, not compromised, summarised comprehensively. That's been done for you. I have lots to bring out. Home invasions, are they warranted? And I've got the calipers to finish, leaky brake pipes on the back. One caliper side's been fitted. I need to get it finished and sealed correctly. So that's an appointment at Tuesday at the garage. So, wow, yes, that's your lot. Thank you very much. I'm going to the toilet as I'm busting, too much caffeine, and I'll be back later. Ah, my friend, the caffeine. So thank you, much love. I'm looking forward to your comments. You can put them on the video, you can put them in this forum, your comments there, and I'll see you later on. Anything? That'll ding dang do. That'll ding dang do. But while we're here, I shall put that back there. The books of study. Peace and love. See you later, scribes.